My idea of doing an MBA was very simple. I have a long-term goal of attaining a senior leadership position, right? And the best way to achieve that is an MBA. And then I started dividing my goals, my long-term goal, into a lot of short-term goals. So the first was to attain a high GMAT score, and then fill up the applications, and then apply to the top B schools. It all started with my New Year resolution that 2023 would be a life-changing year for me. First, I have a very hectic job, right? So I once went to my dad and told him that this week I was not able to study because my work is very hectic. And my dad was like that, all right, I agree with you, but who else will?
Hi, Juhi.
Hi, Natasha. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Juhi. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And you?
Very, very well. First of all, congratulations, massive congratulations, not just for your GMAT score, but for your admits as well. Just playing this small, video that I made, just trying to capture everything that you've achieved since the time
Yeah.
that you've joined. We are extremely, extremely proud of you. A GMAT score of a 740 with a breakup of 50 in quant and 39 in verbal, almost matching a similar percentile, 86 and 88. And then what follows is what we see is a massive number of admits. It's like you are spoiled for choices. You have an admit from Duke, we see. You have an admit from ISB with 50% of scholarship. That's what it says. So almost
Yeah.
12 lakh is a waiver of. And you also have an admit from NYU Stern. You have an admit from Cornell with 60,000 dollar scholarship. I
Yeah.
mean, first of all, I could really, and we all could, sense the entire excitement in your voice, when you shared that news, and
Yeah.
we could not contain that. Now, please tell me, first of all, again, congratulations. Tell me when you started off, whenever
Yeah.
you started your journey, the expectation then and the reality today. Did it align? Does it align? What would you say?
Very honestly, Natasha, it is not because a lot of people told me that the US top B schools require 4 to 5 years of work experience, and that is why I did not. I was just applying to those colleges, but I did not expect even a single admit before my interviews. My interviews went amazing. After that, I was, but if you talk to me 1 year ago, right? So I was not.
Right. So just give me a little brief about your background, what you were currently doing, and what you are
Yep.
currently doing, and how
Yep.
did this entire GMAT journey, an idea of considering to do an MBA kick off?
Yep. All right. My idea of doing an MBA was very simple. I have a long-term goal of attaining a senior leadership position, right? And the best way to achieve that is an MBA. And then I started dividing my goals, my long-term goal, into a lot of short-term goals. So the first was to attain a high GMAT score, and then fill up the applications, and then apply to the top B schools. And in the B schools as well, I had two very specific things in mind. Number one, I have to do an MBA this year only, the coming year only, right? I do not want to gain more work experience. I want to do an MBA right now. And second, I do not really want to go to tier two colleges. So just the tier one colleges. So I
Right.
think these two goals I had, and a little bit about my background. So I am a PCM student. I pursued my engineering.
Now, going back again to the time, we'll talk about the admits very soon, but we'll talk about this entire GMAT journey altogether. So, when it comes to the GMAT preparation and when you started off, how did it all align in the sense that were there any weakness or the challenging section, and how did you start your preparation with top 1% with Sandeep Gupta?
Right. So I'll get started. So I think I had a very focused approach. I had a very step-by-step approach to the GMAT. So, Natasha, you get it right. The GMAT is so vast that if you start researching about the colleges, you won't even be able to get started with the exam preparation. So I decided to just give the GMAT first and then shortlist my colleges, write my applications and everything going forward. So I think for me, consistency was very important and time management was very important. That I was really looking for some kind of guidance in which I do not have to do a lot of research. I do not have to go on Google and, search for the right material required. And I do not really have to correct my doubts and then wait for 10 days to get them solved. And I think top 1% fitted very beautifully into this picture because when I looked at the personalized plan, right, it aligned with me, and then it was just so structured that I knew what to follow and how to get a score. So I think top 1% really makes it easy for working professionals to get a good score.
So I am just so excited. In the last 2 minutes that you had a conversation, you fit exactly what Sandeep sir always, ask every student to. This is what you need to do. You need to be consistent with your score. You need to be
Yeah,
committed to your entire dream, and you've been doing that in the last 2 minutes. I think you fit that bill, and I think that a wonderful matching of what sir wants in you as a
yeah,
student, and you've been able to give that is commendable. And truly, sometimes when I speak to a lot of students, this is where they lack, the
yeah.
consistency. So where the entire agility comes in the fact that you are willing to get there. So you had a certain, let's say, a goal in mind for you to wake up every morning at 4 a.m. to get going 4 to 6 hours of preparation. Tell me, see, you have the course with you, which is
Yep.
exactly the same course given to all the students. So that one extra, what is that one motivation you would say at this point, for you to wake up every morning to chase that dream?
It all started with my New Year resolution that 2023 would be a life-changing year for me. Secondly, it took 1 month for me to come into this zone because I have a very hectic job, right? Hectic job, right? So I once went to my dad and told him that this week I was not able to study because my work is very hectic. And my dad was like that, all right, I agree with you, but who else will? I mean, he actually explained to me that GMAT is given only by working professionals. All the top B schools require work experience. So work can never be an excuse, or anything can never be an excuse if you want something that big. So I think after that conversation, after a month of into the preparation, I kind of achieved this kind of determination to wake up.
This is amazing. I mean, sometimes there can be conflict. There can be, a lot of other backlags that could, probably postpone your preparation or stop your preparation. And such pep talks can really put you in track, because if not you, who else? Only if I had an opportunity or sir had an opportunity to write the exam on your behalf, we would all do, right? So it's at the
Yeah.
end of it, it's you. So into the preparation, while you were preparing, if you recall, it's been some time. You gave your GMAT in the month of August and you had the score then,
Yeah.
right? So if you recall, what has been the challenges, and how did the course kind of fit in, as you in your own words you mentioned, in your preparation? Were there any particular challenges that you faced while preparing, before preparing, and how did the course material content kind of help you overcome that?
Oh, yes, so Natasha, my biggest weakness is that my reading is very slow. Right. So I have never read any novel in my life ever. And the main challenge that I faced during the GMAT was that I took a lot of time in solving the questions, in reading the question, right? And then I used to think about the solution. So that took a lot of time. And I was in the self-paced course, and a student was sharing the same problem with sir. And he told the student that you can't do anything except for just practicing passages. So I just started practicing each and everything, the direct material that Sandeep sir provides you, right? You just divide that into 30 questions each day and keep solving it. I mean, there's And the main thing is that Sandeep sir actually tells you how to solve English like maths,
Math,
right? So
exactly.
yeah,
And
so
that
that was the best thing.
Yes, see, it's not an exam of intuition. You can't go with this exam with intuition. You need a
Yeah.
mathematical formula, even to a verbal section, and
Yes,
that
correct.
adds up. You need to, because this exam really tests you on your logic,
Yeah.
and a logic is well understood by us Indian with a mathematical equation.
Yes,
And
that's
with
correct.
verbal, that's what we do. That's what sir has given you, that fantastic formula. So tell me, when you exhausted the material, did you redo some of this content? Because a lot of student has this, ability to say that, oh, well, I remember all the answers. How do I go about it? So did you encounter similar situation?
I did. And then I kind of felt that I shouldn't have solved all the questions without a timer. I used to give top mocks every day because those were all the new questions.
Okay.
This was just in the last 1 to 2 months, in my
That is
eight
in the
months of
practice
preparation.
phase, right?
Yep.
So, in terms of the content, let's go by Quant. What was that, the a strong area of your preparation, or or was there a certain block in Quant? Because I hear you say that you spoke to Aman, which means that there must have been some place, some topics that would have, hooked you somewhere, right? So,
Natasha, quant was always good for me. I
okay.
mean, I have a habit of making notes in maths and going by those notes. And then I just watch Sandeep sir's videos and I just input a lot of things in my notes. What are DS traps and what not to do and things like that. So I used to write that when two sides of I do not remember this question at all, but when two sides of a triangle is a given, it's not enough to find an area or it's enough to find an area. I used to note down all these things.
So what about we'll come to the most difficult part, RC, a little later, because we'll be all interested.
Yeah.
So how about SC and SC? How was it in terms of preparation, before
Hmm.
preparation and after in your score? How did it all turn out to be?
Yep. So Natasha, for SC, Aman sir told me an excellent approach, and that was to first of all watch Sandeep sir's syllabus video once or twice, and then make notes. Right. So I had a whole register filled with SC notes, and I used to revise the notes every weekend, so that I stay in touch with all the concepts of SC. Right, because it's very easy to just lose contact, and then subconsciously students really start solving questions their own way, and they
Oh,
start going with the intuition. So I used to revisit my notes every weekend, and then SC was not that challenging, but it was challenging in that for me, I had to save time in SC because my reading was slow and I had to give time to CR and RC. So I really had to attain that speed in SC. Right. So that was the challenge in SC, that I had to attempt it correctly and save time there so that I could give time to the other two types of questions.
right, right. And how about so how much percentile did you say that did you get at the end of it? Like in SC? Do you recall?
No, I do, no, I do not.
Okay, you did. Okay, all right. So, going to the CR section of it, how, because then now it comes from SC was a one-liner, right? Now
Yeah.
you're going into reading a little bit more intense, and you have a shorter passages. So, how did
Yep.
and I'm assuming now this, I could be wrong, because your quant is strong suit. Your CR could have been better as well here. So, is that the case?
I was very good at solving CR when I did not have a timer, right? Because CR was a bit more challenging for me as compared to RC, because in RC I just had to read one passage once and then come to the questions. When as compared to CR, I had to read the paragraph again and again for each and every question and then come to the twisted options.
Options. Okay.
Right. So what my approach was, I used to do quant and RC every day, and I used to do CR and SC alternately, right? And in CR as well. So for example, one day I'm doing strength and weekend in CR. The next day I'm doing flow in CR. So I made sure that in a complete week I'm in touch with all the topics of
All
CR
the
and then repeat in the next week.
Super. That's a great approach, I would say. And coming to the RC bit, where from not reading and not being fluent in, let's say, reading or even a novel for that matter,
Yeah.
to mastering that, how did that all journey turned out to be, and what exactly, let's say, helped you? Did KTW session help you? Did you even get a chance to go through it during your preparation? Can you throw some light on it?
My plan to go through the KDW session is right now, but I definitely went through the awareness sessions, the 3 awareness videos, and they really helped me in the RCs,
Correct,
right? And I think for my preparation in RC, I also solved LSAT because Octave applies to all the LSAT questions,
correct,
right? And just seeing that Octave is being applied to OG as well, and then LSAT as well, it kind of increases your trust in that method, right?
right,
And you subconsciously start applying that method. So I think solving LSAT, applying Octave there, and then reading the small passages of RCs and applying Octave, it becomes easier eventually.
right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So we are done with quant and verbal in terms of preparation point of view. Now, on
Yeah.
the test day, which you gave on August, were there any surprises either on the test or by yourself, like in terms of nervousness or anything on the test day?
Yep. So I have noted down a few points about my about my test day. So at the risk of being caught speeding up, let me
Correct.
go forward anyway. So I kind of had a test day anxiety because I have not given any exam for the past 3 years, right? But I kind of made myself believe that I've got nothing to lose,
Right.
right? And I can only gain through the GMAT. So I think this is something that helped me for my anxiety. Coffee helped me. Coffee always helps me
It
for
does.
everything.
On the
Uh,
exam day as well, did you get a chance to, or is it before the exam that you?
Before the exams, before.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then, yeah. So Aman sir told me about one more technique. GMAT should not be the first set of questions that you solve in the day. So
correct.
before the GMAT, I solved 2 RC passages, 5 SC questions, and 5 CR questions, and then I went to the GMAT so that I am already in the flow of solving questions.
It's
Right. So
like,
that is something, yeah.
let's say before marathon, you do a little bit of exercise. Before
Correct.
anything, you do a little bit of exercise. This is that exercise that you
Yeah.
need. So
Yes.
that's a good one. Yes, yes.
Yep. And then exit strategy, right? So I was not very comfortable with exit strategy 2 months, even 2 or 1 month before my D-Day, right? But again, Amansur told me that you are not here to solve the entire exam. You just have to get a good score and then into college. Your challenge is not to solve the entire GMAT. So just exit the questions you're not even. Don't take it on your ego or don't take it as a challenge,
Right,
right? So I started focusing on the right things and then just exiting everything after 1.5 minutes at max to a question. And as far as strategies go, as far as exam days go, I divided the entire exam into sets. So I had to complete 6 questions in 10 minutes, which means 1 question in 100 seconds. Right. So I have to manage CR, RC, and SC in that only. So if I'm saving time in SC, then I have
right.
to give that time to CR, but only in those 6 questions. And I have to exit that set of 6 questions after 10 minutes.
Correct. Right.
So yeah, I think that is something that helped me. And yeah, I used to give verbal mocks every day, 1 hour mocks every day, because that was my weak point.
Perfect. So you have touch based on the mock test portal and even the support. So what do you have to talk about the efficiency in both in terms how did it really help you on your D-Day? What would you have to say?
That actually really did. I mean, my mom was also saying a week ago that you chose a very good coaching, right? Because everyone supported you,
Right,
be it the faculty or be it authority, sir. So I think that is something that really helped me because I don't think any faculty is so approachable that after 3, 4 days of giving mocks, I used to call Aman sir as to what is going on and what I should improve. So I do not think this kind of support is available anywhere else.
and it is very heartwarming to also know that your parents also supported through your journey because the next chapter that unfolds is going to be a big chapter for you and your parents. It's
Yeah,
just going to be a complete different shift from what you've been doing. It's amazing to also know that, and
yeah,
the fact that we as in the entire top 1% were able to contribute a little bit on this to turn that chapter. We are very happy. Now that you have the admit, you have your GMAT score, going to the admission cycle with Authority,
yeah.
right? So you did have a certain school in mind, which you said the tier one school, and you do have you do have your backup school options as well that is ahead of you. You do have your admits. I'm sure there must be some more admits. Are you planning to even apply to some more schools in round two, given that you have the admits right now? So
Oh, not in round two, but I have admitted to Michigan Ross as well.
Michigan
The
Bosses.
result came yesterday only.
Oh yeah.
Yesterday
So we
night.
we were awaiting. I'm sure you would have worked with Autry for more schools.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. So I was about to write that, because you had shared all these in the past week, and you're as soon as you got it, you sharing it, and Autry was
Yeah.
sharing it with us, and we are all like, throwing hearts at you in the sense that it was that exciting for us as well as
Yeah.
much as it would have been for you. And being in this dilemma and being spoiled for choices in this segment
Yeah.
is everyone's wish, I would say. So
Yeah.
um so how did the entire process unfold for you, Juhi, with all three?
So, with Autry sir, I think one good thing that I did was I really spent time while filling up his brainstorming questionnaire.
Right,
I took an entire week and he asks you every kind of question so that he gets to know you, right? So I kind of, revisited every aspect of my life.
right.
What I
That's
done in
what you
class
have to do.
eight, exactly. And
But the good thing, Juhi, is that you have only spent 2 years of work experience, so it's not like
yeah.
10 years. Imagine that would have taken quite a lot. But yes, go forward.
Yeah, that's correct. And Audrey sir was very approachable. So I just remember sitting in a spa once and then texting Audrey sir, ki, oh, I have won this award as well. And then he
Right,
was like, oh, let's include this in your CV.
right,
So I think things like this. And while talking about GMAT, I was talking to you about my step-by-step approach, right? So I think me and Audrey sir really align in this because I got scolded once by Audrey sir when I told him that let's prepare for the interviews once because that's the main thing and we can do application side by side. So
right.
he told me that no, write, fill your form first, then essays, then LORs, and then we'll come to your interviews. So step by step. I think that is something on which we aligned. And then it was, very, Audrey sir made it very simple because in my first essay, the ISB essay, I'm not a good writer because I told you, right, I've never read anything. So he kind of transformed my essays beautifully into, something that that actually shows my story. And at the same time, it looks very good, right? It's kind of strong, it's bold. So I think things like these are very helpful. And while filling up my LORs as well, your manager is not always the best person to fill up your LORs for specific colleges. So I think Audrey sir was very helpful here to tell me who to target, who to ask for your LORs, right? Ask this person from Japan or a US LOR would be amazing here. So I think these things were amazing. And coming to my interview, my mock interview with Osriso was not good, right? Because I just learned everything, and he was like, "Why are you just speaking like a speaker?" And I told him that I do not really want to miss anything out. So it's the small things, right? So he told me that you won't get selected like this. It's better to miss things out and then tell them that, "Oh, I completely forgot to mention this." So
Build
it's
that
your
up,
confidence.
build that curiosity a bit. That's his, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So he actually told me how to tell my stories, right? And he made me realize that it's really your confidence and conviction that really matter. And second comes your answers, what you're really speaking.
Right. So one of the
So
things
yeah.
that I have observed with every student who work with Autry is that, rather than just telling the story the way, telling your facts the way it is, it has to be like a story. And this process enables
Hmm.
you to know yourself better. When you speak to somebody who is interested or is given time to speak to you, you speak
Yeah,
with so much conviction. You are sure and aware of what you want to do. You're telling your own story because nobody else knows, right? And that is why that process, had it been the process where you get to interview first before writing your story, it would have been a very different thing altogether. And I'm sure at every
exactly.
level, when you go forward, you would have this compelling story to say. The very first day at your school, whichever you choose, I'm sure you would have this story to say. It will enable that. Yes, sorry.
Exactly, Natasha. And one more point to add here, I did a bit of a research, right? And there were admissions consultants who frame your story from scratch,
Right.
right? But I did not want that for myself. And then there's Audrey, so who makes you write everything in the correct way, but you're writing everything right. So in the interview, if they ask anything, you know what you've written because you've written that yourself, and you have
Right.
so much to speak about.
yeah, again, at the end of it, it is you who will be speaking. And if you're not aware, if somebody else writes that story for you,
Exactly.
it will be like a fabricated bit, which is not very authentic.
Yep.
Yeah, organic, I would say. It should be that
Yep.
organic, so real and raw. And I'm sure you would have loved your process
Yes.
altogether. All
I
right.
did, yeah.
So, any last bit for if anybody's going to be watching this, what would be the overall, the experience, like I said, for in terms of GMAT, what are the things that you would say that somebody has to like do, and
Yep.
somebody who's preparing, in fact, the GMAT aspirant, like the must do and one thing that you must not do. Essentially, it necessarily doesn't mean to be one thing. You can have a list of it, but one
Yeah.
thing that one should do and one thing one must not do in the GMAT preparation and perhaps even the application as well.
One thing that you should do is just to have your long-term goals in mind, right? And there are a lot of ways to reach that level, right? It's not just the GMAT. So this will help you reduce your exam day anxiety, right? Have your long-term goals in mind and then please go step by step. When you're giving the GMAT, do not think as to which colleges you'll be applying to, and just go very step by step, right? And follow a right approach. And one thing not to do is to not be consistent, right? Your work is not an excuse. You have to be consistent. You have to be in touch with all the topics every week, because this getting a good GMAT score and getting to a top P school is something life changing, right? So you can give that to yourself. So I think having your long term goals in mind and not being not consistent.
So, one of the
Yeah.
thing that I think you highlighted on, a lot of students say, well, on the day, on the test day, or maybe a week before, they'll be like, hey, Natasha, or they call up any of our facilitators and they say, hey, you know what, I have my GMAT in the next 1 week, and I've been asked to, send my score to 5 schools. Which 5 schools? So
Yeah.
it becomes very difficult if you don't have this long-term goal or you don't do it at all. So what is your take on this? What would you have to say for such a question if someone asks you, perhaps, now that you've given?
So I think if you're sitting for the GMAT, you're very confident that you're getting a 790 score, right?
Right.
So I was, and I applied to Harvard, Wharton, Kellogg, and ISB, of course. And after that, when I got my score, I knew which colleges to target.
Right.
But I think you can, if you're sitting for the exam, you should be confident enough that you
Right.
will get a 780, 790. So do apply for the top
Do
colleges.
apply that. So you applied
Yep,
as well. So irrespective, but then you also, when you have the score, you have a realistic goal
exactly.
with your application, and then you applied for the two schools.
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Juhi. This was such a wonderful conversation. And I would say it's a wholesome because you have the score, you have the admit, and you have the scholarship. And of course, it's just a matter of time to see where you finally take an admit. I'll leave it to you. And I'm sure we will
Yeah,
see that reflect on your LinkedIn profile very, very soon. And
yeah.
really, big congratulations again from us. I'm sure this
Thank you
will
so much.
definitely come from Sandeep sir, as he's actually taking the focus edition interviews
Yep.
as well with some other students. But take this as a personal congratulation from him as well. All right. And
Thank you so much, Natasha.
thank you.
I mean, this
And
means a lot. And for some dramatic effect, I joined top 1% on the 9th of December, 2022.
wow.
So
And
it's
you
one
also
year into
mentioned,
this.
for anybody who's starting with this New Year resolution, this is a fantastic session that
Yep.
somebody has to watch. And this is what will happen to anybody who starts in January and end of December. You
Yeah.
have to admit 5, 6 admits. Thank you so much, Juhi, for sharing this as well. That's even more commendable. And all the very best. Thank you so much. We'll stay
Thank you so much,
connected on
Natasha.
LinkedIn. Yeah.